Hello and welcome to Incited. Each week, I want to highlight a student, or in today's case, multiple students, pursuing something that they really care about. I'm Haley, and as much as I love listening to podcasts, I recently noticed a significant lack of podcasts aimed at high schoolers. From businesses to books to the arts, the possibilities are truly endless for my generation to educate, inspire, and change the world. In today's episode, I'm talking to Sophia, Sonya, and Gunnar, three high school students who created their own fashion magazine, Stunnar, which works in conjunction with Sonya's photo company, Revival. Together, they've released two issues online, and both the third and fourth issues are in the works. First of all, okay, hello. Can you guys all tell me a little bit about yourself, like your name and like what you're here for? Go one by one, let's start with Sophia.
Hi, my name is Sophia Fenchel. I'm here to talk about the magazine that me and two of my other friends created called Stunnar.
Hi, I'm Gunnar Ivarsson. I'm one of the three of the co-founders of Stunner Magazine. And I'm here to talk a little bit about our journey over the past couple years and how we've developed it into this now amazing project we love.
Hi, I'm Sonya, and I'm the photographer for Stunner Magazine and also the owner of the Revival Project, and I power the magazine.
All right, awesome. So, what exactly are Stunner and Revival, and I guess how are they connected?
So, Revival is like my company in a way, and I do a lot of other projects like shooting ballet mostly and architecture. And I was basically just the photographer for Stunner, and I power Stunner on my website, so that's how you view the magazine.
Yeah, and I'm also self-employed. I'm a makeup artist, so I'm an independent contractor for that. And I love having this opportunity just to be able to really just take makeup and fashion and do something fun with it. I love modeling. It's been something I've loved ever since I was a little kid, and being able to put it into an art piece and have it be something that other people can appreciate and love has just been such a monumental experience. And I've learned so much about my makeup technique and what it means to be an artist. And it's been a really, really sentimental project for me. I think I've found a lot about myself and my identity through this. So,
Well, that's awesome. And then I think you guys already said part of it, but once again, what's each of your guys' like main roles revolving around Stunner and Revival?
Okay, so I'm basically the photographer and editor, and I I take the pictures for the magazine, and I also create it on the website. So I'm more image based and putting everything together, kind of.
yeah. So then also, Sophia and I are partnering a lot on most of the writing pieces that go into the magazine. So we both edit and write and compose a lot of the paragraphs for that. I'm also the model for it. So I am the one being photographed, and I also do all the makeup. And most of the styling is between us three. It's kind of more of a collective idea of what kind of themes we want to input into it. Most of that is Sophia. I think she could talk a little bit more about that idea, that aspect of it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
then sorry.
sorry, no, you continue, Haley.
No, I was gonna say then yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that aspect then. It's a perfect like segue into it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, I'm Sophia, and I was the one that I believe originally decided that we should kind of do a magazine. I think I brought the idea to light. And from there, it just turned into like a bigger project than I think any of us were going to imagine it would be. Like, it's so amazing that we're able to actually share it with people and not just like have it on like our own computers and get to look at it for fun, but like it's something that other people can actually look at and relate to. My side of Stunner is I like to imagine that I'm like a checker. I like to look at everything, like to be like, oh, like that looks all good, that looks all perfect. And then I also do some of the writing along with Gunnar. We kind of split the writing, but I also edit all the writing so that everything like works. And then I'll find links to put in places, and I will like kind of help decide where things go throughout the magazine. And along for like theming and stuff, I mean, I think that I certainly have some ideas, but I think that a majority of the theming just comes from Gunnar and like his personality, because he will look at things and just like decide like amazing connections between them, and it really makes it easy to decide how we're going to format things because he is able to just have this beautiful eye for detail.
Oh well, that's Awesome. So when exactly did you guys start Stunner?
I believe that the idea originated in the summer of 2020. I was on a FaceTime with Gunnar and he was talking about Burberry magazine. And I think I was like, well, why don't you start a magazine? Because you love fashion, you love makeup, all these things that just like encompass who Gunnar is really was such a wonderful idea to put into a magazine. And so from there, I believe that's when me and Gunnar began discussing. And then Sonya was brought in during the very beginning of sophomore year because we were like, well, we know that we need another person. And who's better than Sonya to be like the beautiful person to be doing the editing and the photography and like creating the website. Sonya knows so much about all of this. And so just her beautiful brain was able to be brought into this project, which I'm so grateful for. And from there, it really took off.
I don't have much more to say to that. She kind of
Yeah, that
wrapped it
was
all in
perfect.
one.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. So, what exactly, like, can you, I guess, walk me through the process of starting Stunner? Like, what exactly did you need to do before your first issue came out?
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
really were super kind of, well, I think in the very beginning, our kind of first place we got a little bit stumped was just kind of about what does Stunner symbolize and what are we trying to put in the world that isn't already there. And I think being three teenagers who are starting a company is a little bit intimidating. And I think we kind of had a little bit of a lag in terms of what we wanted to do with it and how far we wanted to take it. And I think COVID particularly might have stagnated that a little bit. But once school started again and we just started to get a little bit more composed and we had more free time to really put this together and learn just about what logo we were gonna have, like, just starting with that, if we wanted Stunner to start with an E or an A, and that was even our first thing that was our big question, us 3, and we decided to start Stunner with an A just because my name, Gunnar, is Gunnar with a A instead of an E, so that's where that comes in, and from there, I mean, it's just really we had our logo, and we had Photoshop, and we had so many incredible tools, and we just I think one thing that I love about working with Sonya and Sophia is just like we've always been so open to each other in terms of things we love and how we want to input certain things that we love. And it means so much to me to have two amazing, like two of my literal best friends support so much about this project. It's been so meaningful and I'm so excited to continue it in the future.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome that you three were able to come together and do this. Anyways, I read like a few of your guys' issues online and it was just absolutely amazing. And I kind of want to switch it over onto more of the revival side of things. So,
Yeah.
Sonia, what was like your idea inspiration for like starting revival? I know you talked a little bit about like photographing ballet, but just maybe a little more on that.
So revival didn't come into play until Stunner started. I mean, until the idea started. I guess Gunnar and Sophia invited me over onto the magazine to photograph stuff because I always liked photography. And then we kind of realized that, hey, we need a website to put this on. So I decided to just make my own company and then put Stunner on there so I wouldn't have to like make two separate websites. I could like showcase my work on just one website. So I guess Revival is mainly focused around Stunner because that's like the whole entire like reason that it like came alive. But I guess the magazine was is basically revolving around the magazine. But then I decided to go on from there because then that's when I realized I really love photography and I wanted to do more of it. So that's how like my website also incorporates all my other work but mainly focuses on the magazine.
Cool. Put all these questions out of order. I
Oh my gosh,
totally
no
understand.
problem. It's all good. I mean, I can tell you just from this, I mean, you don't have to put this in, but it's like, I mean, we take hundreds of photos each time just to get the right one. So like things happen, you know? So
Yeah, like you guys get it.
yeah,
Um,
We take
get it
like
more than
300 photos and then sit down and look over and only pick like 5 that we like.
yeah, quite literally. It is a chopping block when it comes to photos. It is a chopping block because at the end of the day, it's choosing from 1,000 and getting at most 8.
Oh,
And
Yep.
yeah. No, exactly. It's just part of the process, I guess.
it is hard. I mean, if we could just make a catalog with 8 of the same photo, but they're all just a slightly different angle, we would do it. But that's not particularly entertaining. So maybe that's something in the future, but yeah.
Yeah. So I know you're talking about like just sifting through like hundreds of photos, and I can't imagine that that's easy. So, especially not in like the early days of Stunner. So, maybe talk a little more about like the early days of Stunner, like just right when you started it. Like, did you run into any roadblocks or was it just smooth sailing? Or what?
I mean, so I like during COVID, I was really like I took a lot of makeup photos just independently on my own. So I already had a lot of equipment to do this. I mean, I had backgrounds and I had lights and things of that nature just because I had already been photographing stuff on my own. Um, but I didn't really feel like I had all of the freedom that I wanted and I didn't have a big platform to express my thoughts and my ideas on. It's so cool how much Stunner has grown because in the end, like we from the very beginning started with one ring light, 2 box lights, and a white background, and just to see it flourish so much is just it's unbelievable. It's so magical, and I can't believe the feedback it's gotten. It's just I think I can speak for all 3 of us just thinking, like, it's made us so much more motivated to put more effort into it, put more work into it, and just perfect it, and I really do think it gets better each time that we do it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when we first thought of the idea before Stunner even came out, we stopped like all production for about like 6 months up until I think the summer before no, yeah, I think before sophomore or junior year. And then we said, hey, remember this little thing that we were working on? And originally, the first edition of Stunner was supposed to come out in like November of 2022. And I don't know why. I'm pretty sure it was just because we all got busy with high school and it was like SATs and ACTs, then like just school and college stuff in general. And then we didn't end up releasing the first edition until February of 2023, and then that's when we realized that we got so much positive feedback, and that's the only reason that we sent out the second edition, and we're currently even working on the third. So I think that's just amazing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's great. So you mentioned the third edition. When can we expect to see that?
So what we were originally thinking was the first edition was the spring edition and the second was summer edition. So we're hoping around maybe like we're thinking winter or fall of this year, so definitely before the end of 2023.
Oh, awesome. Well, I mean, this episode should be out before then. So anyone listening, go check it out.
Yeah, I can guarantee that one's gonna come out before the end of this year, absolutely. So keep your eye open for that,
We're
for
not too
sure.
sure if we're doing fall and winter, but we're definitely doing either both combined or one or the other. It really depends on how busy we get with life, because it's also hard being a high school student, especially senior year with
Oh, yeah.
college apps and everything.
Yeah, I
So,
actually think that's a huge part of this too, is I don't think it's actually only grown our craft, I think it's grown our multitasking a lot. And I think if there was one takeaway I could have from listeners, it would be that it is absolutely okay to take one step at a time, but also being able to multitask is such a valuable skill. And just being able to balance academics, family life, but also giving yourself time to embrace your creative side. I think we get so lost sometimes in standardized testing and college applications that we really start to lose our own voice. And I think no matter what it is, whether it's a canvas, if it's a recording studio, if you like to sing, if it's an online magazine, I think there is a million different ways to just put a slight little bit of time into something creative because I think it really makes us better people and it's really what makes us human. And I think that's something that we've tried to make a really big message of Stunner is just what it means to be human and be an artist. I think no matter who you are, you're an artist at heart. Everyone is.
Yeah, no, that's just absolutely great, especially like as part of your message. So, I guess really like how exactly were you able to manage like school with Stunner going on, obviously? Like I know you said like multitasking, but like how long did it take to be able to like confidently multitask, or was it just really easy? Is that
I would say it was more challenging in the beginning, especially when Stunner was really young. And I think we didn't really realize how much effort we wanted to put into a project like this. And I think we just kind of wanted the first edition to be that test. Like our theme was very wide open, and we wanted to make sure that we kept it a little more broad just to make sure that we knew that this was the right path for us. Because I know that all of us have tried our own projects, and I think just being able to experiment a little bit was really, really special. And knowing how much positive feedback we got on it just really made us know that this was the thing for us. And it's just, we still talk about it to this day, us three, about how we walked into school in our junior year and we hear people talking about it. Like once it was released, like we saw, like we heard it in the hallways, like people would come up to us and say, "Oh my gosh, we loved your magazine so much. Like it's so awesome. Where did you get this idea?" Or something of that nature, people asking for advice. It's just like that's really what we wanted out of it, is to people feel inspired by it. I'm sure that Sonia and Sophia can talk about their own experiences with that, but yeah, that was a really, really special part of it and what was a big motivator for us. So
Yeah, adding on to that, I think the thing that, made us want to make a second edition and now working on the third was I walked into school the day, I think it was like the day after we released it because we released it on a Sunday. And I heard people that I didn't even know, or like I didn't even know existed, talking about it. I heard people in my classes talking about it. And they're all talking about Gunnar, and it's just crazy because not a lot of people know that, I was the photographer and Sophia was the editor because it was like all about Gunnar. But it was kind of nice knowing, like, not being the center of attention and just seeing what people thought about it without anybody present. And it got so much positive feedback that we really wanted to do a second and third edition.
yeah, that's really cool, like, especially because I was just gonna ask after this, like, has it, like, affected your guys' social lives? But that's just awesome that you received such, like, a positive response, like, just right out from the get-go. Is there anything that you wish that you had known, like, maybe going into starting Stunner that would have helped you along the way?
Um, Sophia, do you wanna speak on that a little bit more?
Sure. I was going to say that definitely, if I wish that we had known in the beginning that we did not need to worry so much about it, and that once we had created the first edition, then everything would be so much easier after that, because we were so specific about how we wanted the first edition to be, and we didn't know necessarily anything, but we knew that we wanted it in like a specific way. But what that way was, it was like how you have like an image in your like mind and you try and draw it out, but it looks totally like different. I feel like that's similar to how we were thinking about this magazine, because we had an image in our mind, but how we were going to get there was very difficult. But once we were able to eventually get to a place that we were comfortable with, it was so much easier after that because we had almost like a thing set up for us. And so I really wish that in the beginning we had just known like what happens, what we think fits in places, we can just go with that. We don't have to constantly be moving everything around, rearranging everything, because how we liked it initially, that's perfectly fine.
That's honestly really awesome, and I guess that sort of ties into also what I was gonna ask next, which is if somebody else were looking into starting their own magazine, like, what exactly would you tell them? Like
I feel like Gunnar could talk a little bit more about that, but honestly, I feel like if you to start any magazine, you definitely have to be about something that you're really familiar with and you're really passionate about, because it would be so much different if all three of us started like a sports magazine or like a video game magazine, something based on something that like we all like but we're not super passionate about, as in like makeup and fashion. All three of us have that in common, and it's just so much easier to talk endlessly about it and just brainstorm ideas. Because like when we, start a new edition, we all go to like Gunnar's room and he has whiteboards in there, and we just take expo markers and we just start jotting down like everything we can possibly think of. Like colors, designs, like what we want it to look like, the theme, dates that we're gonna shoot stuff. So it's just like it's just easier to do something that you're passionate about rather than like something you just kind of enjoy on the side.
Okay, if you're enjoying Incited so far, make sure that you subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, and be sure to follow Incited on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all under at Incited Podcast. That's at INSIGHTED Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Also, you can go check out my website at incitedpodcast.com. What are your guys' plans like for the future of Stunner? And I know that you guys have like a third issue planned, but yeah, I guess beyond that, like in the next few years, especially with you guys because you're seniors this year, like going off to college, is this something that you're going to continue?
Well, I feel like the three of us have discussed this a little bit, but we're not too sure. Realistically speaking, I feel like we would send out one more edition this year and then one more right before we all go off to college, maybe like a spring or summer edition next year. But after that, that might be the end, or we might continue somehow, but it really depends where we go to college, how close we'll be, if we really want to continue it, and how busy we'll be. So it's not like set in stone that it's going to be, the end for sure when we go off to college like next year, but it's a maybe for now.
Yeah, no, I get that because especially like I know if you guys go to different colleges across the country, like that can be really difficult. But yeah, that's definitely a hard thing to think about, especially. But you guys have at
Yes,
least like two more issues planned. So
And I
definitely.
think
yeah.
just keeping it open, I think, has been something really good too. And I think we've kind of purposely been not necessarily fully solidifying ourselves on some concrete way we're going to continue it or whether we are or not. I think keeping it open has been the most special part of it. And I think it's really made us feel present and just really perfect the craft in what we're doing currently. And I think even just knowing that we can make it better the next time and we can make it better the next time after that, I think has just like there's continuous innovation throughout each and every time we do this. And I think speaking for all three of us, we've learned so much about what it means to have our own brand and what it means to stay really close to that. And I think it's just made this journey so special. And um, I think and it doesn't have to end, and I don't think it will. I know that the Stunner brand itself and the messages it holds are timeless, and I think we've really made each of the seasons that we've done so far really, really timeless. And it's been really great to have it like that because you can read it and it's still relevant. And I think that's something that we've really tried to keep really, really concrete in it. So
Yeah, I think it's so great that you guys are being like fluid with this, especially like with, life, school can be unpredictable. Like you guys got the idea during the pandemic, for goodness sake. Throughout this whole journey, have you had like a favorite part so far? Like whether that be like a favorite page, a favorite look, like a favorite photo?
oh
Have you
my
guys had a
gosh,
favorite part of the whole thing?
I feel like all of ours are different. And like we all love a different part of it. I mean, I love all of it. I mean, I really couldn't pick. But I think my favorite part of it was just the memories we've made making it and the laughs we've had and the mistakes we've made have made it such a characteristic journey. And it's one I would never want to take for granted ever. And like what Sonya was saying before too, just drawing on the whiteboards, like us just drawing this big rectangle on our whiteboard and just it was the front cover and we didn't know how we were going to make it. We didn't know how we were going to structure it, but just writing everything that we think could work, just dumping everything onto that whiteboard, just it was magical. because I think at the end of the day, if you're really passionate about something, the ideas, they just flow and they continue to come. And I think we found ourselves lost in it because it doesn't feel like work. At least to me, it doesn't. It never feels like work. That's, I think, one of the best things in life is when you can do something and it doesn't feel like work, feels like fun. That's really what the gold is in this project. Absolutely.
I think that one of my favorite parts of it is also similar to Gunnar's, which just being with everybody and then like the whiteboard section where we're all just kind of like journaling out ideas that we have. I also really like the aspect of just like photography, specifically. Well, for a lot of the photography, I am not a photographer. So Sonya and Gunnar are doing like the big meat of that part of this. But, I like to throw out some ideas into the ring, see what sticks. Although a lot of the times I'm kind of just sitting on Gunnar's bed watching this all happen, and I just think it's so, like, amazing to get to see both of them, like, so hard at work and to just get to see the process of Gunnar getting into a new outfit, putting on makeup, then going and being in front of the backdrop perhaps that we have or outside and seeing Sonya there, like, concentrating, taking the photo, lining up the camera. I think that's so interesting to get to watch because it's really it's like seeing a professional magazine being shot. It's a photo shoot, and it's like just so beautiful to get to see that, whereas me, somebody that never has like done modeling or gotten to see like a photo shoot happening or anything like that, I just find it very intriguing to get to watch that. And then they both are like so like serious and being like so good while doing it, and it's like a magical thing to get to watch because it's like these are the actions, these are the photos that will be on like the website eventually, but you're just like watching like the baby form of the website being born. So I really or not the website, but the magazine being born, and I really enjoy getting to watch that.
I feel like a lot of your guys' experience, like from what you've told me, has been based a lot in like, I guess the work, like the dynamic of it. And but I just think it's so awesome. Like once again, I know I've already said it, but just the way that like you guys were all able to come together and like I guess pursue your passions like through this website. But anyways, is there anything like all three of you guys want to say like before I end this?
I think if we wanted to make one final message, it's just authenticity and getting to know what really makes you feel authentic um, is just so key. And I think everyone's version of authenticity is so different. And if there's people who want to start their own projects, I think it's so important to have people around you and surround yourself with people who are just as motivated as you and really appreciate the vision that you have and with you collaborating with people who want to share ideas and you're allowing yourself to take constructive criticism or allowing yourself to really be vulnerable and be open and talk about your emotions you have or how you want to express that and I think that's the biggest part of the magazine's message is just that authenticity and feeling like a person again and communicating and managing. It's such a valuable skill to have, whether you're a teenager or an adult. It really doesn't matter. And I think we're all authentic. And I think it's such a powerful, empowering concept. And I really hope that when someone reads the magazine, they feel confident, they feel like they can be themselves, they can feel authentic. And I think that's all we've ever wanted, besides the beautiful photos and the clothes and the wonderful things that we get to do, all the wonderful memories we have. As long as we're putting out that positive energy, I am just so content and I really couldn't ask for more. I'm just so thankful for the community we've made and I wouldn't change it for the world.
While I definitely want people to take away the messages that we put out into our magazine of be positive, be yourself, be your true authentic self, I also hope that people take away that this is a magazine that three teenagers started. This is not some sort of crazy like project that we have taken on. This isn't like a big professionally done big company project. This is something that three teenagers were able to create. And so I really hope that people are able to take away that they can create something like this. It doesn't matter if it wants to be a podcast like what you're doing here, Haley, or if you want to do a magazine, an Instagram blog, a journal, or like a video vlogging, like anything like that, you can start it. You just have to come up with the ideas for what you want to put out there. And once you already have a basis of what you want to do, everything becomes so much easier and you just have to go for it and you will be able to make it.
Where can people find Stunner and Revival, like online, like on Instagram, TikTok, like social media? Like where?
So currently it's at revivalprj.com. It's on Instagram, Revival Project, and Stunnar Magazine. Um, I mean, we might branch out and make a TikTok in the future, but I think those two social media platforms are the only ones that we have it on currently.
Yeah, and of
All
course, if
right.
you are following any three of us on our Instagrams, they're in the bios, and we post updates and whatnot all the time. So that's really the big place to look on is on Instagram, and there's also, of course, sneak peeks or little things or bios on the Revival Project website. So keep checking into that. You might find something cool. And it's really cool to have that platform. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to see the future blossom here.
All right. Like everyone who's listening, like go follow them, check out the website. And as sort of a final question before Zoom times me out, that I want to ask everyone, this is kind of like a weird one. It's like really random. And for each of you, if you were locked in a room with one person, alive or dead, for 1 hour, who would that person be if you get to choose?
Ooh, that's a good one. For me, it would probably be my old best friend, which is kind of the reason I got into photography, because me and her as kids, we always joked about creating a business and what would it be like to like be models, and that's kind of the reason I got into photography. But she unfortunately moved a long time ago and passed on, so
If I would be in the room with someone, I'd probably be with Ralph Lauren. Been just such an incredible inspiration to me and creating his own brand and what it stands for. Just being able to just hear his story, I think would be so incredibly empowering. So I definitely say Ralph Lauren for me.
It's hard to choose because part of me wants to be like, oh, an actor that I really like or a singer that I really like for instance, Taylor Swift. But I think that I would definitely have to choose my great grandmother who passed away, unfortunately, 20, 30 years ago. But I would love to be locked in a room with her because then I would get to ask her questions about where she grew up. She grew up in San Miguel, on the Azores, which are like a set of islands. And so I think that would be really interesting to get to ask her about living in like a small village in the middle of nowhere on an island that had no connection to any sort of mainland, and then hearing about her journeys of moving to America to better her life for herself and her children. I think that that would be really special to get to hear about.
That's awesome. And yeah, thank you guys so much. That last question, like that's one that I feel like I can ask people and sort of as like a way to like get to know them more, like not really in relation to the passion project. Thank you guys once again for coming on to the interview, and for everyone listening, like be sure to go check out Revival Project and Stunner Magazine on Instagram. And yeah, have a good
Thank
evening, the
you.
rest of you guys.
thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Incited. Be sure to subscribe and get notified when the next episode is released. And don't forget to check out Stunner and Revival on Instagram under Stunner, that's STUNNAR magazine, and at Revival PRJ, respectively, and at revivalprj.com. And as for me, you can find Incited on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, all under Incited Podcast. And for more information, at incitedpodcast.com. See you next time.